If you're an aspiring financial advisor or someone who's just gotten started in the business, you may have heard from the higher ups, this is a really difficult career for the first 5 years, but after that, it can be one of the greatest things ever. So for me, as someone in my 6th year, is this true? Did I make the right decision to go into financial advice? Time to think like an investor. Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Josh. I am a 6th year certified financial planner and I run my own independent wealth management business. On this channel, it's all about financial advisors and retail investors, learning about passive income, building wealth, all these sorts of things. So if you're into that, make sure to hit that subscribe button below. It is completely free and there's nothing you really have to do other than press the button. But anyways, I have to tell you guys a story. This last weekend, I actually went out to a bar because it's been locked down forever and I wanted to get out and actually see some people and things are starting to open up. And so this young man actually came up to me and said, "Hey, you're the guy from YouTube who makes all those videos." And I'm like, wow, this is hilarious. Like someone recognized me from making these videos out in public. And I'm like, oh, hey, thank you so much for watching. That's great. And he said to me, "I really like the content. I've been watching a lot of the videos and I'm thinking maybe I want to become a financial advisor. Maybe this is a career that I want to get into. I've got a good job now, but the things that you talk about are kind of really interesting. Should I get into this?" And I said to him, "Of course, man. It's a great career. It's so great." And I start thinking through all the benefits and trying to list off how to sell them on this. And halfway through I go, wait a second. Is this what I should be doing? Knowing what I just had to go through for those first 5 years, should I be recommending this to people? Should I be telling people they should do this? That could be irresponsible, especially if they're coming to me asking me if they should do it rather than telling me they're gonna do it. It shows a little more initiative if you're telling me instead of saying, "Is there something I should do? I've got a pretty good job. Should I stay there or should I explore this?" So all that being said, I kind of started thinking, and halfway through the conversation, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be telling people this. And so if you've been watching my videos, you know this, and if you're into the career, you know this. The first 5 years in any business where you have to build your own clientele, it's gonna be really difficult because not only are you going to be trying to find your own business, there's no employer to give you business, you have to find your own. You also have to face a ton of rejection. You have to build a lot of proposals that'll never become to fruition. You meet all sorts of people who will never actually call you back. And to add insult to injury and all those things, you don't have any money coming in. So you need the money. And as a tangent, one of my little philosophies is the reason it's really hard for newer advisors to succeed, any prospect or customer can tell when you're in that state of scarcity and you need their business. And so that just adds insult to injury. It compounds the problem because now you're trying to succeed, trying to make the mortgage payment, trying to go out and working your butt off, and people can tell that you need it. And so a lot of advisors start to have success once they just get over that level of subsistence, and now they don't need every deal and they can be themselves. They don't always have to have a front up. They don't always have to be the sales pitch guy. They can just be a client's friend, which is immensely helpful. But anyways, thinking back, now that I'm in my 6th year, would I have done this again? Even being myself in my own shoes with the cards I was dealt, would I do this again? It's a good question. And so this is where I get to the crux of succeeding in this business that I wouldn't have understood beforehand. In order to succeed in this business, you have to be of the mindset that you are going to succeed and you have to want success really badly because without that, you're probably not going to survive. And the reality is that people who want success to the degree that you need, like I did, when I was 17, 18, 19, I was insane. My expectations were so high. I developed my sense of self and my significance through the idea of becoming an outlier, through the idea of becoming a very successful, wealthy person. That's what was going to give me meaning and make me all valuable and eliminate all my insecurity. And although that helped me in the business, it was going to have some consequences later on. And so what I'm ultimately saying here is my expectations were obscenely high. And a lot of people who have the drive necessary to be successful in this business are going to have expectations that are obscenely high. That's just part of it. And so when thinking about the question of did I make the right decision to do this as a career and reflecting back on that, objectively, it's hard to argue. I have only reasons to be grateful and I'm super happy with the way things have panned out. On an absolute basis, let's say objectively speaking on an absolute basis, things are fantastic. But the problem is we're always comparing on a relative basis. Relative to expectations of what I thought for myself, however, it's definitely lagging behind. And there's this hilarious quote. It's like happiness is just reality minus expectations. So if you raise your expectations unbelievably high, which you kind of need to do in order to succeed, you end up unhappy because you didn't quite surpass where you hoped you would be. By definition, in wealth management, you're going to be dealing with people who are very successful. You have a completely biased sample because you're always going to be dealing with people who are doing well in business or need advice and guidance on taxes and investments and wealth, right? So you're surrounding yourself with people who are giving you a skewed perspective of what the average person really looks like. So this is kind of the crux of the situation. Let me illustrate what I mean by this, by the way, if this just kind of makes no sense. When I say that on an absolute basis, I'm in an objectively great spot and I have nothing to complain about, here's kind of what I mean. I'm not showing you this to be an arrogant jerk. That's not what the point is. The point is to show you the mind state of succeeding in this business, okay? If I look at the average 26-year-old Canadian, here's the income percentiles, and I've taken the numbers away just to be a little less douchey. In yellow, we have the 50th percentile, or the average person my age. In the blue, we have the top 1% person, the top 1% 26-year-old in terms of annual income. And then there's me, okay? Is that on an absolute basis? I have nothing to complain about. Why am I ever complaining about any of these things?
My diamond earring came off in the ocean and it's gone. And there's people that are dying.
Okay, here's the problem. If I think about the 10 most successful people around me in terms of career and business or clients or people who are doing really great things, and I take the amount they're making and I average them into an index of, let's say, the top 10 most successful people I hang around. Here is the chart of the 50th percentile versus the first percentile versus me versus them. And as you can see, this is insane. It's unbelievable how successful some of these people really are. And so you might be thinking, Josh, why would you just spend your time thinking about this chart, like about the work you've put in and what it's created and the fruits of your labor? But the reality is, I don't think about that at all. I spend zero time thinking about that. And what I do spend a lot of time thinking about is this chart and thinking about how could I be better? How could I get on that plane? I'm this guy who's always out there passionate talking about financial success and building wealth and creating passive income and all these different things. Meanwhile, there's all sorts of people around me who aren't really claiming to be a professional in the area, who aren't talking about these things, but are doing so substantially better. Why shouldn't they be giving you the advice? Why shouldn't they be on camera, right? So that's what I'm thinking about a lot of the time, is comparing upwards. And so in this business, to succeed, you might find yourself tying your self-worth and your self-perception to your success. But by default, you will be surrounding yourself with people who are more successful. And so a lot of the time you hear this quote, you're the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. What people who say that quote don't understand is how difficult it is to be around people who are way ahead of you all the time. You're always feeling like lesser, and of course it gives you that kick in the butt to be better, but it's definitely tough on your mind. Now, when I think of those really high performers, those people who did really well, what did they do? Well, they built content platforms, they built software, they did things that were extremely high leverage, where you put in maybe 1 unit of effort and you get 10 units of return out of it. Think about building software. You build it once and you can sell it over and over and over. If you produce a really great video or a great piece of content, you produce it once, but it can be viewed over and over and monetized over and over. So if I were back in 18 or 19-year-old shoes and all that mattered in life was financial success, I probably should have chosen to do one of those things. But that's not all there is. I was meeting with an old client one day who has since passed away. It was incredibly sad, but he was in his 80s, and he and I had a really great relationship. We got into more of the life issues, and that's what a great financial planning relationship is, in my opinion. But he and I got to talking one time and I asked him, hey, you were me a long time ago, a really ambitious young guy striving for success, and you went through this period of life and you look back now at 80, what do you wish you would have known that you would tell me? And he said, the reality is, it only matters that you build 2 things. It only matters that you build really strong and successful relationships and strong and successful character. Because at the end of the day, your business is going to go through cycles. There's going to be journeys of success and massive failures, and all those things are going to come and go like the wind. But what's going to stay with you is the people who were around to perceive your journey and the way that you perceived your journey yourself and the character that you built through that process. It's a story of the character transforming through the trials and tribulations that ends up making it a great story. So when I look back at the last 5 or 6 years, I don't think there could have been a single thing I can put my finger on that would have been more of a character development experience for me than trying to start a business as a financial advisor. I felt like an underdog. I didn't have credentials. I didn't know anybody extremely wealthy. It wasn't like I had big clients off the bat. Things didn't work out. I had a mortgage payment to make and a car payment to make. It put the proverbial hair on my chest to man up and knock on those doors and build the proposals and go out and make things happen and work really long hours and commit myself 100% to succeeding. It was like I was this really jagged, rough, rock that was put in like this shaker and smashed around, and 5 years, 6 years later, it comes out and it's all like polished and renewed and clean. And it's so clear to me now that this career kind of humbled me and reshaped my ego into being less hot-headed and made me better at interacting with people and made me better at being reciprocal in relationships and made me better at striking up conversations with random people. So the character development, I don't think there's a better career I could have chosen. And as for relationships, that's a no-brainer. I think since I started in this career, I have probably met 1,000 different unique people. This career is all about networking and building relationships and building proposals and talking to people, and you land a client and then they refer you to their family and the family refers you to a coworker and the coworker refers you to their cousin, and you start meeting people that you would have never in your life crossed paths with, especially when you do content like Instagram or you build videos like this. These are all things that are building relationships, and I think the craziest thing now is I have 250 clients, and I get to see them go through those major milestones. I get to see them buy their first house. I get to see the young dude buy his girlfriend an engagement ring before anybody else knows. I get to go through these monumental life moments with people and guide them through the financial aspects of that, and we get to have this relationship where we know each other on a deep level, and hopefully those last for 20 or 30 years. And so if I were to put myself back in the shoes of really ambitious, hot-headed, young 18, 19-year-old Josh who thought he was going to conquer the world and be financially successful, I would say, yeah, the career's been a little lackluster, but if I think about the wise man that I met with who told me what matters in life looking back, I don't think I could have picked anything better. So anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video whatsoever, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully some of my thoughts resonated with you. And if they did, make sure to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on post notifications for more videos just like this one every single week. Until next time.